What's up, everybody? I'm Paul, the producer, and this is FitSpaz Recovery. I'm here to help you get fit, get healthy, and stay sober. So that's the first thing I do. I clear my throat. I have been having the wildest problem with phlegm these last few weeks. But let's carry on with this show, shall we? A lot of things on my mind, a very strange, complicated, different kind of week for me emotionally and whatnot. But where to begin? I'll just, as I usually do, I start talking about my fitness. So the past week has been a mishmash of workouts, and I even took a few days off because of a stiff back that I'm still experiencing. I went to the chiropractor on Monday, and he did his normal pop routine, and then I rode this massage bed afterwards that is... it basically is a massage bed with a program where it does kind of like acupressure, and it'll stop in certain points and you feel stiff, but then your back sort of relaxes. And I have to be perfectly honest, after doing that for many hours that day afterwards, I felt very good. Like, it's like, oh, I feel like I'm in order and it needs to be more like this. So I'm going back to the chiropractor about twice a week for about a little over a month. It's costing a pretty penny, but I feel like it's necessary. And, I have to be honest with myself. I have a bit of a health problem here in my lower back. I'm trying to exercise patience with it, and it's very tough to do that because I feel a little maniacal that this problem is happening and it's just ongoing, despite my effort to stay hydrated, to do relief routines, things that are calm, not having the super intense workouts that I had before I went on my trip to Italy. And so I'm being very patient. I've done some muscle work the past week. I've done some weightlifting, and I've also done some cardio routines, as well as sticking to relief as much as possible. And I have to highlight the patience aspect, so a couple things I'm not going to get into are bothering me. They're of a personal nature, and it wouldn't be appropriate to talk about them here. But I will talk about how I have to have patience and surrender to the fact that life's not always going to be perfect and ideal. Today I went in to meditate, and I usually do that for about 21 minutes. And the thing is going to now go bloop. I do that for about 21 minutes, and I go through this whole routine in my head of things I'm saying and doing between breathing and setting my mind at ease. It's kind of like a ritual, and I every day I do it is a little bit different. And today, for about the first half of it, I was so scatterbrained and having trouble focusing on the routine, and I finally settled into it mentally after about halfway through. Usually I'm clicked right into it and it's no problem, but today I was just dwelling a little on various things having to do with family and various irritations with things that aren't ideal, but they're things I have to accept because I don't have a lot of control over certain situations. And so it's important to remember to accept things I can't control and try and focus on the things I can control in that state of mind, in that positive modality. But for real, this has never happened. I was so distracted that I usually get to this point in meditation toward the end of everything I say where the end of it is just spending the last few minutes relaxing my mind, clearing my mind, not having any dialogue in my mind. And I've gone through all the steps and stages to get there. But today, I didn't even finish all the steps and stages because my mind was so distracted for about the first half of the session. And so, but the important thing I'm pointing out is I stick with it. I surrender to it patiently. I don't get angry. I don't get frustrated. The whole time I'm focusing on letting those things go, letting them wash away, and eventually something clicked in. It's like all the mental disturbance and friction comes into alignment, and suddenly I'm there. And it just takes longer on certain days to achieve that clear, calm state. It takes tremendous patience, really, but that doesn't normally happen with me. But it was very obvious today, and I can't point to any one thing that's like that was bothering. My mind was just scatterbrained with a handful of things that were a nuisance. And I won't get into them. I don't think they would do much here. But yeah, so I stick with the routine. Afterwards, I had a prayer, and praying for me is not a whining session like it used to be. I made a deliberate change at some point and made prayer a positive approach to things as opposed to complaining about this, that, and the other thing in life that are bothering me, because that gets me in the loop of negativity instead of a positive way of dealing with whatever that is negative coming up. And I'm retouching on some things I've talked about before here in this podcast. Yeah, you guys don't even know. So just really quick, a little bit of what I'm reading this week. I don't know that I'm going to continue with this book. It's a book called Fire in the Belly on Being a Man. This is a book I was supposed to read when I was in college, and I didn't. I think I read the first chapter, but I saw it on my shelf last week, and I was like, huh. And I read the description and stuff, and I was like, that sounds interesting. But so I read into it. How far are we now? How many pages am I into this book? 27 pages. And I have to say, this is a very annoying author, Fire in the Belly. He's just too highbrow and pompous for my taste. I mean, I think you can express ideas without speaking in such a complicated and complex way. It just annoys me, because if there were ever a pompous philosopher, it's this guy. And it's hard to, the way he talks about women in this, and it's the way he thinks about women. It's like, dude, I've been accused of overthinking things, but you take it to a whole new level. I don't know that I'm going to finish reading this book. Fire in the Belly on Being a Man, Sam Keen. But that's not to say someone might not love it. I didn't finish reading this in college. I remember distinctly being like, whatever, somehow skimming through certain things. There was probably some question on an exam somewhere, and I don't know how I did. I don't even remember. It's been probably nearly 20 years since I had to deal with that. This other book, I started reading it in Kindle after I ordered it. I thought, okay, this is just going to be like a regular 300-page book. And by golly, I got it. It's like 500 pages or something, and it's like a textbook called War. What's that about? So the 33 Strategies of War by this guy, Robert Greene. And he has a very interesting way. Somehow this guy's highbrow way of speaking is more intellectually stimulating to me than this crybaby Sam Keen. So yeah, War. It's about essentially, if you've ever heard of the book The Art of War by Sun Tzu, I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, Chinese guy from way back. War in life, conflict with others, not necessarily violence, but strategies for war, dealing with people who are trying to hurt you, harm you, your family, your loved ones, whatever. Strategies to approach that, to conquer your enemy with as little resources as possible, but with the highest, most effective skill. And why this? Why did I choose to read this? Because somebody's trying to hurt my family, not in a physically violent way, but they're trying to rob us, basically. And my attitude is like, in every way, morally, ethically, and legally, I have it on my mind that I want to destroy somebody. Does that sound healthy to you? But this is what I think is a moral attitude towards someone who's taken a greedy, destructive approach to business that threatens my future and well-being, and my sisters and my dad's and my mom's and my daughter's, all of the above. So I take deep offense to it, and I want to exploit every means possible, morally, ethically, legally, to just vanquish someone's attempt to rob us. And so that's why I'm deciding to read that book. And that's stimulating. I mean, it's unfortunate, though. This is a reality of life, that sometimes you have to take the gloves off, or is it put the gloves on? I don't even know, and do battle with people. This is a battle. And so to me, that causes a little bit of conflict, because personal conflict with me, because I don't want to hurt people. I don't have a philosophy of trying to take advantage of people, even people who are big a-holes. Even if I can say that person's an a-hole and they deserve to be taken advantage of, I don't do that. I just try and focus on the positive in life. But then there's someone trying to really screw us over, and it's like, what do you do? So that's part of my nature, okay? And you may agree with that or disagree with that. I believe, and you know, if it were legal, it's not legal. So I won't even go down the road of fantasy of things one would like to do were legal. Just that I want to remain legal, moral, and ethical in my approach, but robustly aggressive in thwarting someone's attempt to screw my family over. So yeah, that's an interesting book. I've been reading it on Kindle also, because I got the intro to it when I ordered the book. It said, hey, do you want to start reading on here? And so I started reading it on there, and it's kind of interesting, especially the way it takes different historic experiences and perspectives and mythologies into consideration with these topics of how to deal with an adversary, someone who makes themselves your adversary instead of your ally, looking out for the common good of one another, which is what I would prefer to do in life, which is what I will do when the opportunity presents itself, which is generally my philosophy of the way people should live. But so moving on. Moving on. It's been a tough week for me, you know that? I returned home from Europe 2 weeks ago tomorrow, and it's been a struggle to resume all of my good habits that I had going in a nice routine before I left for Europe. Many of which, you know, I've done a pretty good job reestablishing them. I'm getting up and doing my morning routine, especially, which is important to me. The meditation, the exercise, and those things are fundamental to me. It feels like that's what gets my day off on the right start. But as far as productivity with some of the things I have on my mind with business and otherwise, I'm not doing what I want to be doing. I want to get back in the habit of, I've been going to the library, but it hasn't been nearly as productive as it was before. And it's not laziness as much as maybe I'm in denial about it being lazy, but it's not laziness. Like, I just want to chill out and whatever, blah. I kind of feel like I'm experiencing a little bit of frustration. I'm hesitant to call it depression. Maybe that's what it is. I'm trying to deal with it in a mature manner, in a wise fashion. And let me tell you where this leads me in terms of a lot of the topical matter of this show. Using marijuana is what has occasionally been on my mind. And the reason my mind goes to that is because it's like, okay, I'm experiencing this frustrated state of mind, and it's such an easy way to take a few puffs and bam, have a solidly different perspective, like woof. Even one of my cousins once referred to it to me as wiping the hard drive, and really suddenly getting a different perspective than being sober and in this state. And so, but, okay, notwithstanding what I just told you about wanting to smoke, okay? Having that temptation, I should say. I'm not really in danger of like, oh, I'm so bummed out and I'm gonna go do that. How to deal with things in a sober state of mind instead of running to that whenever there's a little problem, okay? Like, I'm well aware that if I were to start doing that, of course, my mind would be like back into that mode of, oh, I want to do it again, I want to do it again, and I would eventually fall back into every day, all the time, which becomes a personal hell for me when it's all the time. That's just my life and my existence. It's not being a traitor against principles that lead my life, about you being able to make that personal choice. It's about how me knowing the result in my life emotionally by making that choice to become a full-time pot smoker again. And it's not a choice, that's the thing. It's a lack of control, it's a lack of choice, and it's a whole different attitude about freedom when your freedom's compromised when you're giving into a bad habit or addiction. And for me, why is it a bad habit? Because by golly, if I get in the habit of doing that every day all the time, I will wake up and my first thoughts and feelings in the day will be morbid. And it's not like that now. Even though I just expressed to you how the past week or so I've just not been feeling good, I'm not waking up and feeling negative from the moment I wake up. And I'm not going to get into the reasons why I'm feeling negative, like I said, just that. So I have some tools I've developed seemingly well to combat these issues where I feel down or depressed or blue or like, so I am where I am today. And it's like I've preached to you a million times before. I just have to look at where I am and try and improve the modality of my life a little bit every day. And it has been improving. I've been following the textbook rules. So here's where I'm at with my sobriety. Here's where I'm at with my fitness. Here's where I'm at with my work, with my nutrition. I'm at that base level with these habits right now. And here's a little something I can do better tomorrow. Along these lines. So this is so nutrition, right? Like on Friday was my daughter's birthday. We went down to my sister's house. It was a nice gathering she had with my mom and my dad and my sister, the daughter, a couple friends of my daughter who are the children of these other people we know. And it was really a nice time. But what I did was, what's really horrible is I ate some processed sugar crap. I ate some Twix. I ate some Skittles. I had cake. I had ice cream. But really what I think did it was the eating of the Skittles and the Twix. Those things are horrible, okay? I noticed so acutely, distinctly the following day a few things, physically and mentally. I felt like I had a hangover from the sugar, okay? It reminds me of how I feel after drinking too much alcohol. The darkness that comes on after that, okay? And there's a lot of sugar and alcohol. Interesting parallel there. I'll just point that out. So I hate the way the sugar made me feel physically and mentally. I know that whatever it was, I had in excess with that processed sugar. I woke up the next day and I had a pinched nerve in my glute. I was so stiff in my back. I went to a lovely event on Saturday. I was in such a piss poor mood when I was there, and all it was a wonderful thing. So it's entirely me. It's nothing wrong with this event I went to. And I'm glad I stuck with it and stuck it out, because at the end there was a great speech from the CEO of Beachbody who was there, and it was wonderful listening to him. But I was having such a hard time emotionally that day. They even did a workout, and I left for the workout because I was stiff. If you saw me stand up walking, you'd be like, crotchety. I'm not an old man, but I looked like an old man, and I was stiff, and I was not functioning well. And so I was walking out of there just like in physical pain, and I attribute it in my mind. I have a belief that it's like that processed crap that I ate on Friday. So I've been telling myself the direction I want to move with my nutrition as much as possible is getting it to be eliminating as much processed junk as possible. And here's the thing with processed junk right now. I have this stinking blemish on my forehead. It's like a scabby blemish that I had before I went away to Europe. And when I was in Europe, something changed and it started clearing up on my head. Interesting mystery, right? Trying to identify why, when I went to Italy, did this annoying, stupid, scabby blemish on my forehead start clearing up. And I surmise that it has something to do with the processed foods I'm eating when I come back here. Now, I'm not talking about the organic stuff that I have a very good habit of going to get and eating. I'm talking about processed foods, like when I eat out and I don't know where that food is sourced from, okay? Also with some of the supplements I'm using. So I'm trying to do this thing I don't want to do, but I want to do it to figure out what the problem is. A process of elimination in my nutrition to see if over the course of a month, giving up certain things that are regular for me here, this problem will ease up and clear up. I don't like it, and I'm not happy about having a blemish on my head. If it were on my shoulder, I'd be like, whatever, that's on my shoulder. I don't give a crap. But it's on my head. So when you're talking to me, you know, so who's not self-conscious about having a blemish on their face, okay? It's like having a zit and you're like, oh man, big zit on my nose, wah wah. So it makes me self-conscious. It's not bad enough that I'm thinking I don't have hair here. It's like in place of my hair there's this stupid red scab. And so it's annoying. And it's not cancer, okay? Because if it were cancer, it's not going to just clear up and go away like it did in Italy. It's some kind of irritation. It's indicating something to me that's off. And I don't know what it is. But if it clears up when I go to Italy, I have to look honestly at what was different when I went to Italy and what's different now when I come home. What am I eating now on a regular basis? Especially highlight things that are processed. Even if those processed things are reputedly supposed to be good for you, you have to eliminate it. And so dairy was one consideration for me. The types of cheeses I'm eating, the whey protein that may be in some of my recovery drink after I exercise. These are things that I'm looking closely at, and I'm changing my habits, including like the hydration stuff I have in here. This yellow stuff, when that's gone, I'm going to miss it. I'm going to take a break from it and see if I can get this to clear up, because I wasn't drinking that when I was in Italy, but I drink like 17 ounces of it every day in water, of course. And so patience, let me go back to patience. The frustration I've had, and yet the patience I need to get through that. Knowing, even when I'm in meditation and I go through all these aspects of my life, I'm thinking to myself, I need to put these things into action to complete that cycle. And that's what I was doing before. And it felt like that wheel was turning. But today I'm feeling like that wheel is not turning in the same way, and I have to get it back. Day to day, I'm feeling frustrated with aspects of my modality. So this is something for me that I consider to be positive. Like talking to you here alleviates some of that. I feel like I'm doing something special here because I'm just getting philosophical, and I know there are some people listening, which I appreciate. And so consequently, what I love about meditation actually is being able to get in a state of mind, even if for those few minutes, where somehow I have developed a skill to eliminate that friction, that irritation, that anxiety, that boredom that can be so frustrating. So there's no boredom when I reach that point in meditation. There's just this calmness and this pervasive ease that things are all right. And so I want that habit to persist throughout the day. That's even part of why in the meditation I say, inhale relaxation and patience, exhale relaxation and patience, and spread it like a wave across the entire earth, lasting the rest of the day, the week, the month, and the year. That's seriously something I say in my head. And I go through that. And many different things like that. Water is a common metaphor, just that calmness of water and the malleability of it to adjust to its surroundings. That metaphor is calming to me. And so, no, my life is not perfect. And yet, okay, put that aside for a second. How are the conditions of my life? Am I a blessed person? You bet your butt I am. I'm super blessed. And you know what else is, just briefly, I'm not going to get too into this, but the cold-hearted nature of the political season has been irritating me in many ways. I just don't appreciate the way I see and hear others treating one another. And so I'm looking forward to that coming to an end next week. And I have a lot of stuff that goes through my head, the way I'm feeling politically, and frustrated with people because I see people as delusional. And I also try to be honest with myself. Like, I go, am I in a delusion? Am I being delusional? Part of what I meditate about also is having the honesty and integrity to be honest with myself, to be fully real with who I am. Even if I'm not admitting it to others, at least don't be kidding myself about something. And so I think that honesty with yourself even transcends the need or benefit of confessing those things to other people. And wherever you might meet with cognitive dissonance, if you're then seeing somebody or you're being someone you're not, in your head you know you're this way, but with other people you're fronting and you're being phony. I don't want to be that person. But so I've had a pretty good show this week. It's about the length I want to go, and This is just my life, you know. I want if you appreciate something about this, then I certainly appreciate that. If you think I might have an interesting perspective on a topic you'd like me to address, please send me feedback to paul@fitspaz.com. Of course, you can check out my page on go to fitspaz.com. All the social media is accessible through there, and where there's the most activity from me on a daily basis is my Facebook FitSpaz page. There's a link on fitspaz.com, and if you search FitSpaz on Facebook, you're going to come up with my FitSpaz page with my name, Paul something. What is it? I don't know. You'll find it if you go there. So, but anyway, I'm going to start wrapping this up now. As always, I want to thank Kevin MacLeod for all the great music I play in the backdrop of this show while I'm talking to you. And go to incompetech.com to find out more about him. You want in on some core de force? That's what I'm doing. I'm starting a martial arts / cardio workout this coming week, and I'm going to be doing a 30-day version of it and see where that goes. I'm excited about that. It's new. It's fun. I like punching stuff. I like working on that form and that coordination with that kind of stuff. The choreography, it's great for the mind. Get in on it. What are you waiting for expletive's sake? So yeah, everybody, I want you to have a nice week in the meanwhile, and I will of course be back with you. Follow the social media, do all this, that, and the other thing. Happy belated Halloween. And the holidays are coming, turkey's coming, everything's coming. Be patient, be calm. I'm gonna try and model this behavior for everyone else. And of course, I always look for inspiration from you guys out there who have your stuff together way better than me even. Take care, everybody, and I will talk to you soon.